Miss Claridge, you all right? You can talk to me, Miss Claridge, I understand. 1 beep for yes and 2 for no. Don't you think you should get out of the street? Look, you don't have to be so cold. I'm just trying to help. Ooh, sorry.
All right, everybody, welcome to the program. This is Federation Friday, almost Federation Saturday with all the technical crap that's going on. How is everybody out there tonight? Deb, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's Friday. I'm very happy about that. Ready for the weekend.
The invisible Marty, he's down there somewhere in some nebula.
I always heard radio was theater of the mind, so I'm just trying to recreate that tonight. Everything is doing great up here. Starting to get spring-like. Best I can hope for.
You had internet issues last week?
Yes, we had internet issues last week. We had a good old-fashioned windstorm here. And in New York, as John will tell you, every power and every phone and every communication line is above ground. And they never trim the trees. So if we get a good windstorm, branches come down and will disrupt communications for a couple of hours easily. So I had TV, I had phone, but internet was down for almost 6 hours.
How did you survive?
Well, luckily, I was able to get on my cell phone and use that network, but I couldn't podcast from that. It's too small.
What do you mean, your phone?
Yeah, the phone is too small. I'm at that age now. I need a gigantic phone. I need a jitterbug.
Do they still make those?
Oh yeah, they still make them.
I have one on order.
A rotary jitterbug.
Yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? With a 6-inch dial.
Yeah.
I always thought that what was it? From Lethal Weapon 4? The Chris Rock bit about the phone. One. 6. Oh damn, wrong. 1. So yeah, that was always I miss the rotary phone days, and I miss the touch tone telephones, when you you could play Mary Had a Little Lamb, 4 5 6 4 5 6. Yeah. I remember one night at the radio station we were doing it was during Christmas. So we had people call in with their phone, because this is like 90, 93, 94. So, I mean, I didn't have a cell phone then, and cell phones were like those big things that they carried in the Lethal Weapon movies. And we had a contest where we would pull the tune, a Christmas song out of a hat, and the listener had to play it on their touch tones, and the closest to the actual, if we could, understand what tune it was, they would win a Christmas tree from New Garden Depot in Patchogue on Route 111.
Ow.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we did.
Think of the lot,
Edgy.
right?
We were edgy. We were pushing boundaries back then.
Now, can I ask what station that was with? Because I suspect I know which one.
That was B103.
E103, yeah.
Yes, Long Island's
Long Island's
oldies.
oldies, yeah.
Yeah, we had the great prizes. You win a Christmas tree. So
Yes, but you did it in February, so timing is everything, man.
is that why? I was wondering. So tonight's episode is the Menagerie, which I call a donut. The donut episode, because it has I guess it's doughy around the outsides and I don't know, creamy in the, I don't know what. There's just a hole in the middle for something else. But this is another one that I think I've seen in so many different parts that it kind of was, the part one really worked for me. I enjoyed it. I mean, I think I would have I don't know how it would have been if I hadn't seen The Cage already, but I kind of liked how they did this episode. What do you think, Deb?
I love this episode, and I love part two. From what I understand, this was in the middle of season one, and they ran out of episodes.
Yes, they were going to be short. You're absolutely right.
So they took, of course, they didn't air The Cage, so they took scenes from that, and I think scenes from other episodes possibly, and kind of put this together. I mean, it won a Hugo Award.
There were actually talks at the time of doing this as a feature-length film.
Right.
To put this out, or to go back and fill in footage from The Cage and release that as a feature film. They were going to actually film the crash of the Columbia to pad it for time. And none of that obviously happened. So, yeah, interesting. So, yeah, this was a huge time saver, and quite frankly, I think pretty brilliant in the way that they were able to make the donuts and kind of wrap around the existing episode.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliantly done. I mean, for that, what was it, 67?
And this one, according to my book here, is all Gene Roddenberry, right? He wrote the donut and the cream.
He wrote part one, but not part two.
Yeah,
part
I think
two was
he did more of the setup part than anything else.
Yeah, because one of the takeaways that I have from this one is I always have a problem when they do these types of episodes, like with the camera angles, what they're showing on screen, saying to myself, okay, well, the security, like Star Trek 4, okay, they show the explosion of the Enterprise, right? And you're like, okay, so how would the Klingons have this footage that's the exact same footage that we saw at the end of the last movie? I mean, it's not possible. But the way they did this towards the end, you know, because I'm saying to myself, watching this, going, Okay, so how do they have this footage, you know, of them being on the planet, but then they tell you that it's actually coming from the light bulb people. And I thought that was pretty ingenious, saying that they're actually sending this signal of what they have and what they want them to see. I thought that was just amazing.
Yeah, but it should have been a dead giveaway because at the beginning, when they start receiving the transmission, and you hear it clearly say, "This broadcast is copyrighted by Telosian Productions for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this broadcast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this episode without the express written consent of Telosian Productions is strictly prohibited." That should have been a dead giveaway to them right away that,
Maybe.
this was coming from someplace else.
Right, but then you have, maybe it's just that Angel Hernandez was there and it wasn't right anyway. So
could have been right, could have been wrong. Who
it was
might
about
tell?
it was 6 inches off the plate.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this one was good. So, I mean, this should be pretty quick because we've already discussed the cage. So that's like the middle of this thing, and the fact that Spock steals the Enterprise basically is, to me, I mean, it was really good, and it shows his loyalty.
Yeah, it shows his loyalty to his former captain, and this will not be the first time the Enterprise is taken without permission, and it certainly won't. Well, this is the first time. It certainly won't be the last. Yeah, it almost becomes a semi-running theme of people borrowing the Enterprise without asking.
So Kirk is, I guess, asleep at the wheel, or is it security's fault?
When in doubt, blame security.
So we go to Starbase 11, and
which is one more better.
Yes. It's don't the star bases only go to 10?
This one goes to 11. Yeah, the good old days when we had less than a dozen star bases and didn't have triple number and quadruple number star bases.
Right. And the Commodores are waiting to see the captain. I guess there's a concert that night. And I like the way, like, she turns around right before they beam down. They show the outside of the starbase, and she turns around and she's just like looking up in the sky, like you can actually see them beaming through the air.
But yeah, it's like she was looking for them.
Yeah, she's like, oh,
I don't see them yet.
I thought she was kind of a useless character. I don't know why they put her in here.
Well, she related to.
Yeah. I mean, she outside of saying, "Commodore, Captain Pike is gone."
So she almost served as like a yeoman Rand for this episode for the Commodore.
It was just did not need to be there.
So she says the Commodore is waiting to see you, and that they received a subspace message for hey, get over here really quick. And the base, I mean, they sent no message. So why is he waiting to see them if he's not expecting them?
That's a good question. Well, I guess we could just say even the best donut has a hole. Well, they must have known they were coming. They picked them up on their sensors. You're gonna have to relabel the old soundboard.
I do. I have to. I have to relabel the soundboard.
Put your glasses on, John. Put your
Yeah.
glasses on.
I think I need. We're going to probably have a lot of that this episode.
Yeah.
So,
But the nice part is, a couple episodes from now, we'll do an episode where we watch this episode and cut out any of the stuff that's not moving the story ahead.
right. Which would, I mean, if we ended now, then that would be perfect.
Perfect.
So, so Spock received a transmission, and this guy, what's his name? Jose Menendez or something like that?
No, he was the one who got killed by the Menendez brothers. Mendez.
I was close.
You were close.
I was close. So, there is representation in the future. It's not all old white guys like everybody says it is. Except for the 3 old white guys in the background.
Yeah. So far, I haven't seen any people of color and only one half alien on this entire starbase.
So we learned that Pike is here. And he's up in the medical section. And I guess he had a little bit of an accident. I didn't even realize. And I guess this is the thing of I don't really remember the ending of the cage. They left and just flew away, right?
They left and flew away, and they left Vina with an image of Pike.
Okay, so that's why I thought, okay, he stayed behind. It was the light bulbs left her with him in her mind.
Yes.
Okay. And then this is 15 years after that?
13.
13?
Yeah.
So this is after the musical episode?
Well, if we kind of do the math here, some of it doesn't add up because Kirk says he's about my age. So we subtract 13 years from 34, which means Kirk was captain at 21, which, his insurance rates must have been ridiculous. Yeah, so they didn't quite think that one out. And again, we're back to math on this podcast.
Right. That's where you lost me.
don't.
I was just doing the math in my head and looking for a pencil.
Yeah.
That's why I glazed over. This is going to be loaded with donut references, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to sprinkle them in there, here and there.
Oh, nice.
So Spock served with him for many years. 13, you said? Right.
13.5.2 something. Yeah.
And one of the baffle plates popped. And I guess he's burned. Is that what happens when a baffle plate goes?
Well,
Or is it just paint the side of your face?
I think it just caused an explosion, and he went in to save some cadets that were in the room or whatever, and that's how he got burned, was by saving the cadets.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
McCoy makes reference to some kind of rays. Rays?
Delta.
Delta rays.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So the waffle plate, as you've called it in the past, it actually prevents the delta rays from getting in.
Okay. So if they were gamma rays, he'd be green.
He'd be green. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Totally.
I see how.
And he
I
could
see how
heal
that-
himself.
And might I say, what a nice improvement in the matte painting behind him.
It looks like a window.
It looks like a window, and it looks like an actual city.
Now is that
That's remastered.
That's the remaster.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Just like a purple.
I think it was just more, you could tell they were cardboard towers in the background. So this looks a lot less like something Godzilla would stomp on.
Okay. They went the Empire Strikes Back Cloud City route.
Yeah, Cloud City version. Yeah.
Okay. This was downtown Cloud City.
Yeah.
And we find out that in his wheelie chair, Pike can't speak, which confused me when I watched the, I guess, 2009 Star Trek,
hmm
because, I didn't think I guess they just changed it to be different, or just a
Different
different universe,
timeline.
or
Different timeline.
Different timeline, different reality. Yeah.
The multiverse.
Yeah, I think if memory serves, that Pike just wound up in a wheelchair because of the torture he was put under by the Romulans. And I cannot remember if in the next film he's still in a wheelchair or if he's walking.
I think he's got a cane in Into Darkness.
Okay. So that was a temporary thing.
Yeah, so he can only speak, I guess, yes or no in beeps. So he's like very limited in his communication. He can either say or, and then I heard there's a third version, a remastered version, where Spock comes up to him and says, Pike, something like that. I'm just paraphrasing because I don't remember where I saw it. And he says, Captain, are you hungry? And Pike says, and Spock is, well, what do you like Italian? Okay. What you want some Chinese? What is it? What is it that you feel like having? Oh, okay.
That's pretty good.
So they go get Taco Bell, and then that's where this comes in.
Yeah, there you go. Wondering why that made the soundboard.
Yeah. This episode sponsored by.
Do you think they let him switch it up? Like around the holidays, you think he has like a spooky beep beep and like a Christmas jingle bell thing, or?
I don't have that yet.
What? Now, how they missed the opportunity to make a remote control Pike toy is beyond me. I would love to have like my remote control Mustang, my remote control Corvette, and my remote control Pike racing around the basement.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you have. I don't know if you can. Just driving along, you've got to go to the A&P. So you hop in your Pike mobile
with your kick-ass hat. I think he's trying to take off. Look at the way the flaps are coming out here. If he gets up
Yes,
enough
they are.
speed.
They are in takeoff position.
Mhm.
But yeah, and there's a lot of. Would you say Pike is the top character that is lampooned in television from Trek?
I would say he's definitely in the top 5. I mean, here's Futurama. And there are multiple examples of Futurama where that chair appears. But I think it's something that is, for some reason, instantly recognizable even to a non-Star Trek fan.
So, like in Futurama, is that Leela, right? She
Yes.
gets, like, in order to testify, you have to sit in that
You
chair.
have to sit in the chair. Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that how it works?
Yes, that's exactly how it works.
And is that Futurama or is that
That's
Simpsons?
Futurama also, I think. Yeah. And of course, there's Joe from Family Guy. South Park, as we saw before. All right, that meme just cracked me the hell up when I saw it.
Now,
Oh, there's the background, John. You can see the purple.
Oh, is that that's the original?
Yeah. Well, minus the new Captain Pike hair. Yeah.
The
Pike's
Pike's
Peak. Yeah.
the Pike Spike.
The Pike's Peak, as they call it.
I thought it was the guy from Flock of Seagulls.
And we have, of course, Strange New Worlds.
So that's Pike before. Well, that's future Pike that comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Pike glimpsing a picture of his future. Yeah. Tell you, a lot of radiation, but he kept that head of hair.
And then that
is Lower Decks.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those, so.
Oh, try them. You'll enjoy them.
Yeah, is it okay?
Yes, very enjoyable, very funny.
And then it got canceled.
And now it's been canceled. Yeah.
But Strange New Worlds got picked up for another season.
Ah, crap.
You don't like that one?
Can't we just all agree that thank God Discovery is leaving? I mean,
this season's not too bad. I'm enjoying it so far.
That's a rousing endorsement. Well, this season's not too bad.
Well, I mean, compared to probably the first season and a half. I mean, she hasn't cried so far, so yay.
Yeah, they got rid of that.
Yeah.
So it's so weird that you say that season and a half. I think the way that they built the story and arc in 1 and 2 was the problem, and then they switched it up to serialized storytelling, and it got worse. To me, it did, because that's around the time I punched out, and even my son and I were talking the other day, and he watched season 1 and season 2 with me, and he's like, it was just too much, and after a while, it was like, solve this thing or move on, and I think some of it was just dragged out too far.
I thought season 3 got better. I'm trying to remember when Booker came in.
Wasn't that 3?
I'm thinking it was, because then
because at the end of 2 they went into the future.
Right. So yeah, when they I really love Booker plus the cat.
Yeah, that was a great character.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's been at least enjoyable to watch. Now, is it my favorite series? No. But yeah, from season 3 on, it's pretty decent. This season has been so far really good. I've enjoyed it.
I saw a clip where they meet Scotty. Is that from this year, or is that
That was tail end of no. That was Strange New Worlds met Scotty.
right? Okay, yeah, that's how much I've watched. Star Trek died after Picard season 3. After it came back to life after Picard season 1 and 2.
Mm. Yeah, that was a rough watch.
So we have the 2 flashes mean no. And I've tried to catch it with the light on, but it was just too hard.
Too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to figure out why Spock, I guess, faked the message, and I guess he's just saying he's got no choice but to do this, right?
Right.
And he just feels it. And is it the now? Am I spoiling anything for the part 2 where you find out why Spock is doing it? I mean, we know why he's doing it, but
Mhm.
where is this coming from? Where is this need, this feeling of I have no choice? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
His
And why
loyalty
now?
and his friendship.
Right, but how does he know? Is this something he wants to do for his friend, or something that did Pike send a message? Because Pike, I mean, I got 2 beeps that he doesn't want anybody to do any of this.
Right. No, this is all Spock.
This is all Spock, but it's also the Telosians. The Telosians are the ones who contact Spock somehow. Now we've seen the power of their thought projection. They may have telepathically reached out to Spock to say, "Hey, we heard about Captain Pike. We'd like to help. We owe him one." And kind of open the gate, and maybe Spock figures this is, logically thought it out. This is the only time, and he has no choice. He has to do it now. They're in the
Right,
sector.
and that's what I was trying to get at in my eloquence, or lack thereof. How did Spock come up with this idea, basically? So he got a call from the Telosians that said, "Hey, Spocky, come on over, bring us Pike, and we'll make him better."
Yeah, we'll give him some sort of life.
Yeah, I get the impression that the Telosians are the watchers of the Star Trek universe, because they seem to know what's going on. The same as, if you don't know who the watchers are, that's Marvel Universe. But they see all and know all.
And maybe manipulating all.
So
Well, they kind of do, and well,
And
not
they do in this episode to some degree.
Yeah, and definitely the next episode.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Deb. Go down the Marvel path. The Watchers, when were they created, invented? For what, like what year did they come into existence in the Marvel universe? Trying to figure out who was first. Was it the Telosians, or was it the Watchers?
I would say they were probably around the same time, right? The Watchers have been around since the mid '60s, easily.
And they've got big heads, just like
right,
the Telosians.
That was my point. That's where I was going. Was they could be cousins? So is this an alternate universe? Does Marvel cross over with Star Trek.
It's a possibility. Who knows? Maybe Marvel got, or Stan Lee or whoever, seen this episode and thought, "Hey,
I like that idea.
I like that idea."
Well, I'm going to look it up right now. Well, Stanley liked to, and I'll just use the word kindly, borrow from a lot of different things. Okay, so Latu, the Watcher, debuted in Fantastic Four, number 13, April 1963. So by the time the pilot films in 65, the Watcher had been out for a while.
Hmm.
So it's
Maybe
possible.
Roddenberry was a Marvel fan.
Yeah, maybe it's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I mean, there is a similarity there. They can, like you were saying, that they could be the Watchers of the Star Trek universe, and they both have those gigantic heads. So I just it was just something that I.
The Talosians like to interfere. Yeah, where the Watchers just watch, the Talosians just throw themselves in there.
Yeah, the Watchers are strictly hands off. Well, except for one episode of What If.
The Watchers are great at showing up and giving you a lot of explanation to set things up, and then be like, "Well, we're just going to sit back and you guys figure it out."
Get your
So
popcorn.
the Watchers are basically the opening crawl to a Star Wars movie.
Pretty much, yeah. They serve the same purpose as Basil Exposition does in Austin Powers.
Right.
Just fill in the gaps and then off you go.
And speaking of purple,
yeah, that's why I said it. I looked up at that. Is another beauty shot.
Yeah, that's
the remastered edition.
That's pretty cool. And that is we're still at Starbase 11, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Spock, they're doing some research now, and I guess trying to figure out where the message came from. And they are sitting next to a mini alien ship from War of the Worlds.
Well, that was on Kirk's command share in the first episode.
Was it?
Oh yeah, the Pike episode.
Yeah, it was off to the right side. It came up off the right side. That was supposed to be a big thing. That was kind of their communication panel, because you could look into it and have the two-way teleconversation.
No, I mean the lamp.
Well, yeah. It's like that was what that was supposed to be, that you would be able to look into that and have a teleconversation, which would make sense instead of just, like McCoy in the middle of sickbay looking up, talking into a screen, and you're like, where is that camera in sickbay he's talking to?
Right.
That always bugged me about Star Trek, is people would get on the comm and be like, there's no camera there. Where is that? And they'd always be perfectly centered.
And I guess they kind of, that's like the precursor to the thing on Picard's desk, the computer that they could talk into and
spin around. Yeah,
spin around, right?
Yep.
So something's happening under the desk here, and
Commodore's working his core, it looks like.
What are they? He's doing his chair workout.
23rd century calisthenics.
Is that what they call the Kegels? Or whatever? I don't know. And this guy's just out of the shower. And I love this part. This is where Spock sneaks in. And I guess this is down in the computer room Is that what they
Yeah.
called it?
Yeah. Now, do you recognize the set?
Yeah, it's from Star Trek. Every set that's not the bridge.
Okay. More specifically, do you know what this is a redress of?
It looks like, I don't know.
It's engineering.
Is that engineering?
Yeah. If you look, you see the tower computers in the back.
Mm-hmm.
If you look to the left, you see the distinct red and black
Mm-hmm.
panel, and the board to the left there is also the master control panel. This guy has an actual microphone for some reason behind him. So I think this is maybe the computer/radio station.
Right. Yeah, this is where they play the hits of Starfleet.
Subspace 11.
And then we have, he goes off to look at something, and then Spock comes in. And I thought this made me laugh so hard. He just walks in, he's shoulder high behind the computers, but he decides when he gets past the gate to bend over and hide behind the fence.
Yep. Yep.
Because he's now invisible. When he's, because it's like COVID, it couldn't get you when you were standing up. So you had to wear the mask. And then when you sat down to eat, it kind of went over your head. So you didn't have to wear your mask to eat. This is the same thing. When you're sneaking up on somebody, here you can't be seen. You can be seen, but he's behind the computers. And then when you get behind the fence, you have to duck down. You scooch. You're going to scooch down, and you become invisible.
Well, to be fair, I think he thought this was only a one-way grid. So
it's that one-way chain link fence.
Yeah, I saw that and I cracked up too. So that blue area back there, that's where the engines would be. The long cavern into the impulse engines. They just put up a wall and changed the color to blue to hide it. And yep. By the way, who operates the controls and buttons down by this guy's knees?
Well, you can't see him because he has to bend over and he's invisible.
I mean, I guess, there must be some Federation members that are about knee-high tall, but I was like, who the hell put the buttons down there?
Yeah, because what if you accidentally hit him with your knees?
You mean like he's doing now?
Exactly.
Yeah. He just sent out a planetary distress signal with his knee.
So Spock sneaks up on him and gives him the old Vulcan neck pinch. And Kirk is, I guess he's still back in the office. And he's talking to the, how did you say it, the Yeoman Rand of Starbase 11?
Yes.
Yeah. Piper is her name.
And she lets everybody know that we used to know Helen, is it Johansson?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you know Helen? And a little look on his face like, oh boy.
Uh-oh. Am I going to get called to HR again?
Yeah. He's thinking, well, tell her I hope she's well and I hope it cleared up.
Or he's afraid he might have to pay child support. No, not another one. Damn it.
There you go. You got one.
I'm here all week. Thank you.
Now, or is he just thinking of Helen?
He's probably thinking, which Helen?
Yeah. He's like, Johansson. Yeah. He's just bluffing his way through this conversation because he can't remember this chick or jack shit.
She made lieutenant, huh? Oh, cool.
See, now, we just saw an episode within the last 3 shows when Dr. Helen Noel was referenced in Dagger of the Mind. Why didn't they just use that name? That would have had a little continuity to it.
Yeah.
And as we know, he had a little thing going on there. Up
Maybe
there's
that's what he
Godzilla
thinks
buildings in the background.
that's who she was. He's remembering. Was it that Helen or
Helen Roper? Helen Helen Hayes?
Is that the Helen that lived downstairs with Stanley? Was that Helen?
Big Moo-Moos, right? No. No, not. Now he's hoping that Miss Piper shuts up in front of the Commodore.
He's like, I'm not gonna have to phase this bitch. And then I guess this is she's saying that the investigation turned up very little. Now, is she talking about Helen or
Spock or
who? Oh,
the
Star of the
message.
Enterprise.
Can it be all 3? They've really just run a crappy operation out at Starbase 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the last. This is the furthest one out, so HR hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
The district manager
Yeah.
only goes out once in a while. So we're talking about Pike now, and his wheelchair responds to his brain waves, which is pretty neat. He can roll himself around, but then at the end, don't you see them actually pushing his
him
wheelchair
all over the place? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a little dumb. And when they push him, it looks like they're having a hard time pushing him too. Did you notice that?
It probably doesn't roll very well.
No, at the end of the episode, Scotty and McCoy are now pushing him.
Exactly.
And you're like, Chris, pick up your feet.
The brake.
Yeah, take the brakes off.
He's been known to roll downhill backwards. And we have Spock here, and now he's uploaded a message, I guess, to the computer in the computer room, and he is tuning. He's tuning the voice to sound like,
Adjusting the
remixing it.
speed.
making it sound like Kirk.
No, at first it's Starbase Operations.
Yeah.
Right. So it's Starbase Operations telling. This is the oldest trick in the book, I think, because I think I tried this on my parents, where you would go to one and then say, "Well, Dad said I can do whatever I want. You don't have to question me. I'm going to load everything into the computer. Just ignore the fact that everybody else is telling you that we can't do this."
Now Spock gets caught with his floppy disks on top of the computer. Although that looks like a cheese sandwich there.
It does.
You're doing a little sabotage. You might get a little hungry and want a snack. And the first felony, or actually the second one. He's already assaulted 2 people.
Right. So Spock is racking up the charges.
Now these computers crack me up because they all look like they should have Batcave signs on them. You know,
Yeah.
Starfleet computer, Starfleet communicator. Is it me or does this guy look like Paul Lind a little bit?
You know,
Just a little bit.
yeah, just a little bit. And now he's programmed I guess that was the red floppy.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Kirk is the red floppy.
It's
Right.
interesting though. There is a deleted scene where Kirk goes, "Oh, that's why you were having me record all those things."
It's on the special edition.
Yeah. Yes, Jim. That's why.
You mean we're not doing the play?
You know what it is too? They should have been a dead giveaway that he clearly edited the audio, so we didn't have 30, 40-second pauses in between every third word.
It's
It would be really funny. This is Captain Kirk. It's just strung together terribly.
so
Mr.
here's
Hanson is
Captain
back.
Kirk saying, "Don't bother. Don't pay no attention to what else is happening. Just the computer knows what it's doing. Don't bother asking any questions."
Yeah, well, you know, tell the whole bridge crew take the day off. And if Mr. Spock wants extra ice cream at dinner tonight, it's fine by me.
2 scoops.
So Spock is now in control of the Enterprise. And he lets them know that we'll warp out of orbit in an hour. So now we have an hour to figure out why he wants to get there. And you would think that being a, do you want to say like a greatest hits episode? But it's still an original story at this point, and you don't know what's happening. And I sent a couple of tweets out to Robert Meyer Burnett and Chris Gore, and I asking them what if they knew, because I think out of all of them, I think Robert is a little bit older and might have watched these
When they aired?
But I don't know if he would have been into it enough or if he just knew. But basically what I asked was, what was the initial reaction? Because the cage was never seen before, you know, and what was the initial reaction of somebody else being captain of the Enterprise and having, 15 years of adventures before we are where we are. I thought that was it's just something weird that I thought of. I don't know what would the audience reaction be to something like that. Because for all of us, it's always been, I mean, when was the first time the cage was on the air? Was that like late 80s when they aired it?
Yes.
Because I do remember.
They had a like big special when it aired.
Yeah, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Was it before Next Gen started, or was it around 87 after Next Gen started?
It was around the same time, definitely, because I remember they did that special and they did the primetime special when they showed Space Seed right before Star Trek II hit theaters.
See, well, that was even before my time, because I didn't, I'd seen the original Trek in theaters, in '79, but I didn't watch Star Trek 2 until it came out on
VHS.
home video.
Dang. You missed out.
Well, I tell you, you know, that whole scene where the Reliant is coming in and they got to put in the codes. I can remember sitting, you know, it was one of those movies where I had set up a sound system in the living room down, you know, or in the den downstairs. Mark, do you remember that house?
Yes, of course I do.
So we had this big piece of furniture television, and on top of it was the CED player. And I remember, you know, taking my dad's recliner, watching it the afternoon that we got it, and watching Star Trek 2. I pulled the TV, the recliner right up to the TV, and that whole scene was I was on edge for that scene, and I was like, man, what am I watching? What? I've never seen anything like this before. And that's where I kind of started getting into Star Trek. And then once Return of the Jedi, this might even be after Return of the Jedi. I don't know when Star Trek 2 came out on video.
So it came out in '82, so around '83, it probably would have been available.
Yeah, and you know, this is where Star Wars went into its cocoon and just disappeared. And that was my gateway into Star Trek, was watching the CED on in my den.
Yep.
And just, you know, back to the point of what is it that, you know, how did the original, when this originally aired, what did people think about seeing that the Enterprise had a different crew or a different captain? I don't know if anybody's ever done a part of a documentary about it. I'd have to go look that up, but to me, that's interesting to see what, you know, original Trekkies would have thought.
Yeah, I have no memories of it, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah,
weren't even-
I'm trying to remember if my brother ever said anything. I don't recall him ever saying anything about it, because he recorded all of these on beta, because beta came out before the VHS. But yeah, he had. Oh my god!
Okay, so you guys are gonna love this. I've been struggling with the camera since we began this, and it's gonna be impossible to see, but somehow the back of my camera has got a big warp bubble on the back. I shorted out the camera. And it's
How the hell
all,
do you do that?
well, I did recently accidentally plug something into the CSB thing on the side, and it was already plugged into a regular. So the splitter has a regular plug, and I wasn't watching what I was doing, and I plugged the USB-C into the computer, which also feeds power, and I doubled up the power into the hub, and I immediately smelled something. I was like, oh, I did something wrong. Had no idea it was the camera. So now I'm using the camera on the laptop. So sorry about that.
Oh no, you could have just easily said I stood up, because you know you're not invisible when you stand. So
I'll do the. I was behind a grid the whole time and couldn't be seen.
You were
so
behind
I
a
just
chain
moved the
link
grid.
fence.
Yeah, behind a chain link fence. That's why I couldn't be seen. So I'm back.
So we find out that you know Pike is, I guess, I guess there's a Pike cam, and
Guy's got no privacy. Yeah.
is it like Big Brother? And they're just watching him, and he's there going, "Oh, that's the wrong one."
Now, how do they know that's coming from him and he's not watching just like a Samuel L. Jackson movie on broadcast TV?
Yeah.
By the way, this is the only time that I can recall surveillance footage ever being used on Star Trek. You know how many stories could have been solved by looking at the camera down corridor 6?
Mhm.
Like the whole one with the salt vampire, right? I mean, we have take a look at the surveillance footage. No, there's no surveillance footage anywhere except in Captain Pike's bedroom. That's a little convenient.
He's got to earn his. He's got to earn his way. All right.
Meanwhile,
He's got-
Kirk's like,
he-
that's not strange. I have a camera in my bedroom. And by the way, do you love how
Lieutenant Johansson knows about that.
Yes, that's right. That's why he had that look on his face before. Now, I love McCoy. He's probably my favorite character. But his medical diagnosis of being agitated into a coma actually made me laugh out loud. And I'm thinking, no, Bones, that's not how that works at all. You don't agitate yourself into a coma.
Oh, I'm just so mad.
Brr. So their biggest concern right now is there's a false entry in the log. Priorities, fellas, priorities.
Technically, couldn't he have just done Morse code?
Well, if he controls everything with his mind, I really don't see why not.
I mean, why just limit it to yes and no? I mean, with 1 and 2 beeps. I mean, you can just do Morse code for
And
what you
why-
want.
I mean, why couldn't he just?
Incorrect.
Again, that's why I was saying you could download, notification or ringtones to that chair. You could put in anything you want.
Right, and then when there's he's talking to somebody and he doesn't know the answer, or something is suspect, or he gets confused, or you have the and then he gets angry, right? You piss him off, and he, instead of being able to throw punches, he just goes.
Or how about this? As that's playing, the light increases by like 10,000 lumens to blind. And then he just rolls out while they're trying to regain their eyesight. Yeah, look, the chair was probably mind-blowing back in 65, but now it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. Especially, like you said, he can control it with his mind, but he can't do anything but one beep. He's really controlling one beep. That's
Right.
it. So is that all his mind's capable of doing? or did they just give up after they built the wheelchair? Like, you know what? We already sunk so many credits into this thing.
He's like, come on, guys. Look at him. He's not going to be around that long.
Yeah. I originally thought that was a check engine light on the front of that thing.
Well, you have at least 10,000 miles before he has to do anything about it. You only take care of the check engine light once you need to go in for inspection.
Mm. Or as I found out recently, when the check engine, the oil, and the voltage light come on simultaneously, indicating catastrophic engine failure.
Did you have that with the Saturn? What
No,
happened with the Saturn?
The Saturn was the fuel pump. The electronic fuel pump, the computer just decided at highway speed to turn off for no apparent reason. It would just shut the fuel pump down, and the car would lose complete power. And yeah, I always have weird things with cars.
My ex-husband, for my youngest son's first car, he bought a Saturn. It was a piece of crap. Then he turned around and bought another one. It turned out to be a piece of crap. I was like, Danny, just quit buying Saturns, please.
It was a fun car to drive, but that was nothing but problems. I had the little 3-door one with the suicide door in the back, and yeah, that was great until you parked next to somebody and everybody tried to get out at the same time, and now nobody could close their doors. So the people in the back would have to go back in, close their door, then close this door, then open this door. Yeah,
and it was like a half door, right?
It was a half door. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It was half door and a half Vulcan science officer named Spock. So maybe that was his door. That's how he got in and out of the. So here's what was her name again, Deb?
Piper.
So Piper peeks that Pike has been pilfered.
He's gone.
And now he might not, he's gone, or he could be on that side of the room.
Yeah, it's true. He's just out of frame. Oh, wait, nope, he's back. He just rolled over there.
Maybe he had to use the potty and didn't want to be seen, even though you can't see
I'm pretty sure
anything.
that's built into the chair.
I know, but maybe he had to fart. And he doesn't want, yeah, exactly. He doesn't want people to see him do it.
Now here's the Commodore doing his impersonation of a cat on the table.
Captain, can I be in your play?
So now he's breaking the bad news. Hey, your ship left without you. Again. So no navigator, and the helmsman just sitting there, arms crossed, having a grand old time.
And that's Hansen. So where have we heard Hansen before? Was that one of Kirk's?
Yeah, he's been on before. I think he was in the last episode.
There's Uhura with the she's writing up an invoice.
Mm-hmm.
Going to give the the pink copy to the customer.
Okay, so we are spared a scene here where obviously they beam Pike aboard into the transporter chamber that has 3 steps up.
It's not ADA, is it?
It is not. It is not. Yeah, it is not ADA compliant. So we missed the scene of them trying to build a ramp or picking up the wheelchair and carrying it down the stairs.
You know.
Oh, Deb, is that me or you?
No, that's her.
Okay.
Keep going. Frozen in time. Are you back, Deb?
She's back.
Well, I asked. I said, do you think they might have stolen a shuttle instead?
No, they got the hell out of Dodge. They just, and then again, how do you get them into the shuttle? It's 3 steps up into a small door. It's It's not like one of the vans with the thing that comes down and picks you up. But
Where did we
yeah.
see it? The the shuttles and the, was it Star Trek 5? That the whole back flap just dropped
Drops
down.
down.
Yeah.
And everybody comes running out. Yeah. They didn't have those. And you know what's amazing? To this day, every transporter pad is raised up, and everybody has to step down out of it.
It's like a bubble, right?
There's no reason for it. Why isn't it ground level?
We have more recordings. Follow Spock's instructions. And then Hanson's like, there's something following us. And it's kind of like I could, I was going to, but I didn't have the time in the 2 weeks that we took off. But it was like, what was that, the Monty Python scene? There's something behind us.
Not only does he say there's something behind us, he says it's about the size of a Starbase shuttlecraft. Are they bigger than a standard Constitution class shuttlecraft? Are they not all the same size? So that's just letting us know it's from the Starbase, in case you don't realize.
He tells Spock that they'll never catch us. And they're going away, and there it is. And this guy likes to bend over and look like a cat, apparently. And then Mendez is calling. And they're going to Talos 4. And Spock asks the computer, what is the object? And they find out that it is indeed a Class F. And is that one that's smaller than, is A bigger than F? Or is F, like, if it's, would you rather be on the A shuttle, the A class, or the double D class, or the F class?
Oh, it's like a Mercedes C class, like it just has a sportier package. That's all.
Oh, is that what it? Okay,
yeah.
It's got
the leather seats,
and the
seat warmers,
and the, what do they call that on the back that they put on the
whale tail.
a spoiler.
It's got a spoiler on there for airflow, keep the rear down on the road.
Oh, it's got driver and passenger environmental controls separate. Nice.
Right.
Seat warmers.
Yeah. So now Spock is doing his calculations because we can't get away from math.
Yeah, and they don't turn around. Well, I guess it doesn't matter right now, right? If they turn around or not, because they ain't making it back. And there it is. The F class. One window.
So let's just look at this for a second, shall we?
They can't even see where they're going.
Yes, I love the original shuttlecraft. I love the design. I think it's a simplistic but beautiful design. But when you put people inside of it, it doesn't measure up. So these windows are clearly about 2 feet higher than what they should be. And does it make sense to have to look into these globe things to pilot? Because God forbid you're in a crash, you're going to eat that globe into your head. So, yeah, from an engineering standpoint, this is just bizarre.
Maybe those are the headlights and they just put them on backwards.
You think so? Because I've seen them where they actually, I think in this episode, he grabs it and he starts turning it like this. Is it out of focus? That's even worse. You have to manually focus your directional. Yeah. And why is only one window open?
Yeah.
Well, it's an F class. They didn't get the extra window package.
Yeah.
But it did come with the optional tennis racket in the dashboard.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And well, it has lumbar support because look at the giant knobs on the side, which we never see in any other chair in the future. But this one's got adjustable knobs, so yeah.
Maybe they can recline.
They would have to look out the windows.
Is there anything in front of us? I don't know. I can only see up.
Yeah. Do me a favor. Could you just stand for the 2-hour trip and look out that center window? Yeah. So plenty of headroom.
And he turns off the last of the oxygen, right? Because they only have 2 hours left, and they've run out, and that's whatever is left inside the cabin. And there is, what is that? Is that a map? Somebody wrote the letter H on. Is that the guy who inspected it the last time? He had to sign his work.
That's the last time the bathroom was cleaned.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, it's got to initial it. 'Cause that's actually the lavatory.
Hansen was the last one to.
That's the H for Hansen. Yeah. All right, guys. I know the shuttle isn't that big, but a little personal space here, Commodore.
Yeah, they get kind of close. And what's going through Kirk's mind here? Well, you only got 2 hours left, and I don't know. Thinking of Johansson.
He's like, I should have called. And here's Mr. Helpful.
Miss Captain Obvious.
No, anytime there's a horrible, stressful situation and that door opens and there's a blue shirt walking through the door, it's not going to get any better, guys.
So they lock the tractor beam on, and I guess they're going to pull them aboard. And they decide that they're gonna pull the shuttlecraft in, but Kirk is gonna beam aboard. And Spock that's it. I give up. And McCoy really doesn't understand what's going on, so he's just, why don't you just go to your room?
Yeah, you're under arrest. I don't know what to do with you. Yeah, go to your room. And no double ice cream tonight. So we have the little throwaway line about store that shuttlecraft because, we don't want to leave it out here in the vast emptiness of space when we can pick it up any other time.
And Kirk with his stunt double. So we find out that the computer is controlling the ship, and nobody can get in and change anything. And that's when Scotty, what does Scotty say? He's like, he grabs his thermos or something and runs off.
Yeah, we all know what's in the thermos.
And Spock is watching this on his camera. So apparently there's a security cam in the transporter room.
Or
Or what?
or the
You left us hanging there, or
I
is
just
there?
kind of obvious. The Telosians are feeding
maybe.
him. That's what I thought.
Well, isn't he watching Kirk beam aboard? Didn't they show that?
Well, maybe he's got a subscription to Only Scans, where they scan every part of the ship.
There you go. Yeah,
So
that's
okay,
it.
here we are, full face shot. Where is that coming from?
Mm-hmm.
So who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe you're right. This is the Telosians letting us see everything. And then we have, I don't know.
What the hell's that red thing?
I was gonna say that looks like a melted Darth Vader.
That's exactly what it looks like. Or even worse, wait, go back. What the hell is that U-shaped thing in the background?
That's the payphone.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, look, he's got an invisibility grid too.
Well, no, only the red ones
okay.
are invisible.
Mm.
That's the ones that you fool around with the ensign in front of, and nobody can.
Nobody can save, right?
Yeah. So we can't do anything until the planet reaches Talos 4.
Why does this shot look like it's from a buddy cop movie?
TJ Hooker and Mendez. Now we're getting ready for the trial.
A little courtroom action. This is more informal, though, because nobody's wearing their dress uniform like in other court martials.
Right. It's a quickie, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a preliminary because I think Spock manipulates it to where he gets a court martial. If I remember right. I just watched this episode.
Thank God these guys didn't have any problem picking a jury.
Yeah. Well, they can only it says there's only you need 3 what do you call it? Command officers, and they only have 2. And then was this a setup by Spock to get what's his name in the room?
100%.
Because this is where he reminds us that what's his name still has that Pike still has his.
He's still active duty.
Yeah.
Geez, they can't even let him go out on disability. What an organization.
So then they put the tapes in, and you find out Spock has waived his rights, and he's entered a plea of guilty, and we are ready to start the trial.
Now we're in our dress uniforms. There we go. For some reason.
That didn't.
Yeah, what happened there? For some reason, we have the flag of Cuba off to the left-hand side. I don't know why. He's like, these are the only 2 flags we took with us. That's it, sir. We have 2 flags and a bell. All right. And Now here's the episode of Star Trek where they watch an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, and the first thing that I remember from watching this, the original time I've seen it, was, how do they get this camera angle?
Through the dome.
Well, it's really funny that Mendez says, when they think Spock did it, I salute your technical prowess. Really? Do you really think he did this and added a music score while he was at it? Come on.
And it's commercial free.
What cracks me up in that scene, though, look at Scotty and McCoy. The only thing that's missing from Scotty and McCoy there is a bucket of popcorn as they're watching the episode.
It looks like Scotty's sitting there with a birthday cake.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's to turn the screen on and off.
You mean like a remote control?
Well, maybe,
control. Yeah.
in that day and age, probably I remember my original remote control for our TV. We had a dial television, and it only went from channel 2 to 13. And the remote control was literally the size of a brick, and it had 4 buttons. Top button had a red dot on it, so you knew it was power.
Power, yep.
The second button down was volume, which you would, I believe, press 4 times to go from low, medium, high, and off. And then a channel up and a channel down. And then 8 double A's in the back.
Holy crap. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's got more electrical power than a Tesla. I recently stumbled upon my wired VCR remote that had the magnificent luxury of a switch that said play and pause. So, and it was a 25-foot long wire that if you were sitting on the couch, you could pause the recording and then restart it up with the flick of your thumb. I can't tell you how many times somebody walked across our den, tripped on the wire, and went flying.
Yeah. Because there was a time where my brother and I were the remote control.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
After the invention of the remote control, do you notice how the population in this country started to decline? We didn't need human remote controls anymore.
I forget what brand TV that I had. It was probably a Zenith.
I think we had a RCA console.
We had whatever
something that had it. It was really big, and it you had your TV on one side, and then on the other side was like a radio record player.
Oh, yeah, sure. The original entertainment center. Yeah.
Yeah. It had a lid on it, and you could just push it up, and then, you could listen to the radio. I don't think we ever listened to the radio unless Dad was listening to the Cubbies. But most of the time, it's just to play records.
Yeah, and the thing weighed 900 pounds.
Oh, that thing never moved.
Yeah.
It's
like when they delivered it,
house.
You better know where you want it, because that's where it's staying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I remember buying our first new TV at PC Richards, and I want to say it was, when did MTV start? 81? 82?
Yeah, I'd say right in and around there.
Because I
Probably
think we
81.
were in PC Richards, and they were just playing. MTV was on every television.
Well, John, I don't know if you remember this, but MTV would actually go out with a truck to get the MTV signal to neighborhoods that didn't have cable, to get the neighborhood to pressure the people who fed the cable to feed their town so they could get MTV.
Wow.
All right. Here's my TV. This one.
So now, do you think this is a flat screen they're watching, or is that like a box TV just recessed into the wall?
Well, no, what this is like, do you remember when you went to the ground round
The projector,
and they had the projector?
the red, green, blue projector
Yeah.
mounted
Yeah,
on
that's
the
what-
ceiling.
That's what this is.
I would
this is the
explain the
fir-
popcorn on the floor.
Yeah,
Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah,
that was my
With the-
TV.
yeah. For some reason, with the handles at the bottom for drawers that never opened and a pretend key lock. Like
Yeah.
they
And
really
the little curtains.
the little curtains for the speakers.
It had, yeah, and it was the first TV that they made with stereo sound, and in the back it had the white and red
Inputs.
inputs for the stereo sound.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's the exact one, but that's pretty darn close to.
Are we this old that we remember having to polish our TVs with furniture polish?
Yes.
We
Using
are that
lemon
old.
pledge on our TVs? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's how I spent my Saturday mornings. Had to do chores before I could watch cartoons.
Now, when did Jeffrey Hunter die?
Jeffrey Hunter died young.
Was this him?
No,
No,
I didn't think it
Sean.
was.
I
this
sent
is
you
Sean Kinney or Kinney Sean.
Sean Kenny, yeah, who will show up in a couple of episodes from now, as a navigator, Mr. DePaul. Yeah, I think his character's name is DePaul. He was cast because of his resemblance to Jeffrey Hunter, and I got to say, it's pretty good.
He does look the same. The jawline, I could tell from the jawline, it's not as squared as Jeffrey Hunter.
Jeffrey
He
Hunter
died
died
in
in
69.
69. Oh, there we go. In stereo, we're available.
Jinx.
So we're trying to find out where Spock is getting this footage from. And once again, Spock manipulates whoever he's talking to into doing exactly what I mean, that's how brilliant Spock is.
So we're looking at a screen that's looking at a screen that's looking at a screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did this
basically.
happen? Right now.
Right now. And we go back and we see the old crew.
There's the
And-
lamp things.
There's the lamps, the War of the World lamps, and everybody's wearing their suede.
No red, muted blues around.
And only one of the TVs is working on the bridge.
All different size screens.
Now, did they redo the images for the remastered, or does like the L cars
No,
look
none
like
of that.
that? Because
none-
that's pretty cool. That
Yep.
looks good.
Yep, none of that changed.
We have the World Trade Center and the Golden Gate
Bridge in one picture, yeah.
in one picture there. And then this is basically it. This is they go down, and Mr. Drymouth is just sitting there watching his old adventures. And we find out that it's actually the Telosians that are sending this signal. Because in the old days, they would drive around from neighborhood to neighborhood and
Try and get people.
broadcast so people could watch them.
I was waiting. So basically, the Telosians were pirate broadcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe that's... We've never, in this universe, they never went into space, and it's all made up by the Telosians. And
Kinda like the end of
discovery
Saint
doesn't really
Elsewhere.
happen.
Okay.
It is just
So they're torturing us.
they're
Okay.
torturing us with...
Get out of my head. Right thinking is equally punished. Like, yikes.
Spock is awaiting the death penalty, and that kind of flows uphill. And so, what are they going to execute Kirk for letting this happen?
The way I read it is, if that ship makes it to Talos 4, I think they all could be looking at the death penalty
Just for being there.
just for being there.
And we've never gone back in any episode, probably in the comics. They probably did in the comics, right? Or in the animated series?
Yes, they definitely did in the comics. They did not in the animated series. They did in Strange New Worlds, but that takes place before this. Yeah, so the Federation viewed the Telosians as such a danger that, it's like you said, it's the only death penalty they still have on the books. And, I don't know if it's the fear of what the Telosians would do having humans, or the fear of having the Telosians have access to ships that they could leave and go out across the galaxy and do what they wanted without any way of being able to be stopped.
Well, if they can control Spock's mind, do they really need a ship? Do they need somebody to... they could just program somebody to come and drop them off a shuttlecraft.
I don't know so much that they controlling Spock's mind as
I think it's just telepathy.
I think that they are reaching out to him. When you think about it, once the Vulcan realizes that what he's seeing is an illusion, there's the loss of control. And we see that in later episodes, the OK Corral, where if they think the bullets are real, they're going to die, and Spock has to mind meld with everyone to tell them that the bullets aren't real. So I don't think that Telosians would necessarily have that much power over certain races. The Vulcans would be at the top of my list of the ones that they would probably have difficulty controlling. I think it's probably a combination of both. They don't want the Telosians leaving the planet, and they certainly don't want that sort of power being given to humans to learn that ability, because as we know, everything humans touch eventually turns to crap. So I think for such a progressive, idealistic people, it's interesting that we embrace everybody except those who are really dangerous. We're going to keep them as far away as possible. And I think it was in the comics that Klingons actually get to Talos 4. And force the Talosians to do their bidding until they are eventually overthrown. And then the Talosians keep the Klingons as prisoners, forcing them to live pastoral, happy existences, much to the Klingons' dismay.
Mm. I should really look into reading some of the comics, because the comics seem like they do a pretty decent job following up on the story.
There's a lot of sequel stories in the comics. Harry Mudd showed up in the comics quite often, and it depends on what comics you're reading. The old DC comics, which are in collected omnibuses, they always had, I thought, pretty good stories. There's a great Mirror Universe saga story with them. Finnegan, who we haven't seen yet, makes an appearance. They were great at bringing back characters who were one-offs, and trying to build a little bit more into that lore.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, none of it is canon, but they're fun reads.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it.
And then now we have Lonely Kirk.
And this is the first where we do not see the Enterprise fly off into the sunset.
That's right.
He just doesn't know what to do, because his head's on the chopping block, and we will be continued. So, like I said at the beginning, this is the first time that I've watched this one all the way through. It did answer a lot of questions that I had, like, how the heck did you get that camera angle? And I enjoyed it. These are keeping my interest. Not like they're the new Trek. If I'm watching something new Trek, I'll just fall asleep.
Is a different style of storytelling. That's for damn sure.
And I like that the lights are on.
Yes. Nice and bright. Isn't it amazing? You can see what's going on. Again, that might just be our combined ages, but I notice everything likes to be shot in the dark now.
Everything. It's all shows.
Everything. I'm waiting for the news to be, to be by candlelight at this point, because there you go. There you go. Okay, so maybe next week we'll review part 2 in the dark. We'll do mood lighting.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I could do that. Yeah. Yeah. These have been fun. And looking back on this one, considering that this was kind of thrown together quickly because they were in a bind, they were short, they were trying to keep the budget down just to keep the show afloat. I think it's a genius idea. And what's amazing is when you think about a lot of shows, right, that have pilots that go through a couple of different iterations before they're aired, that nobody's ever tried to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would even be funny to me if somebody did this as a 2-part episode and just went back and did a dumb phony pilot to put in the middle to make a phony donut.
Right. Like I don't know, how would you have the original pilot to The Big Bang Theory with the ugly chick living across the hallway?
You'd have to take out
yeah,
any reference to her name and just work around that and tell the story of a previous neighbor who lived there before Penny.
Well, did they give her a name?
Yeah, I don't
'Cause
remember if it
I
was
don't
Penny
think it
or
was.
not.
I don't think it was Penny.
So there you go. You could have used that and thrown that in there. Yeah, there's somebody's got to pick up the gauntlet and run with it on that one, because I think it would just be really interesting to see what they do. Or how about the first episode of Full House with a different dad? Try and wrap that one around.
So, yeah, these have been good. And then next week we have. I think next week. I think we're going to take off next week.
Okay.
We just bought a new blow up air tent, and somebody wants to go camping. So
Nice.
yeah, that video is coming soon. I got to put it together tomorrow.
Are you going to be sitting around the campfire singing "Row, row, row your boat," or
Yes, roasting marshmallows.
marshmallows? Don't forget the marshmallows. It makes a camping trip.
Yeah.
And your bourbon and beans. Yeah.
Yep. And I just watched that recently too, and it's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's
I don't
not
know.
bad. There's some cringy moments in it.
Yeah.
Like the two that just stand out to me are the infamous Uhura fan dance, and this takes me out of the film every time, the turbo lift shaft sequence.
Yes.
Like,
Were
okay,
they going?
whoa, that slot behind you clearly has nothing to do with lifting you up and down, and the numbers going in every single effing direction with the wrong number of decks. Yeah. Other than that, I love the beginning of that film. Even the end is good. The 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 interaction with the Klingons with Spock as the gunner, I thought was great. Yeah, there's a lot that film has going for it, and if you read the story, the production, and some of the issues that they had behind the scenes, they farmed out the special effects to a group that never had done it before, and it does show in a few scenes, like a weird photon torpedo firing, and special effects, practical effects that didn't work, the whole rock monster sequence. Yeah, I think so much of that film wound up on the cutting room floor. And, I was thinking a couple months ago, I was watching it, I'm like, why don't we push to get the Shatner cut of this? Go back. You've got the raw footage. You've got the technology now to do what you want to do. Let's get Paramount to get their ass in gear and do it.
Well, I don't think Paramount's going to do it, because Paramount apparently is trying to erase Captain Kirk for some reason.
Well, I think I do think there's some truth to that. I don't know why. I don't know why they're trying to erase Kirk. Yes, he was a little misogynistic. Yes, he was, a little shoot from the hip, but he's a product of his time.
Right.
And, yes, we're more sensible and more kind, and the world is more effed up than ever. And I think at the end of the day, we have to find a balance and say the world needs all kinds of people. Yeah, you need these shoot from the hip kind of guys, and as Kirk grew over 30, 40 years, he changed. He changed a bit. The Kirk we see in Star Trek 6 is not the Kirk we see in 1966 by far. He's made peace. He realized that his hatred of the Klingons was the problem. And if, he had to get past it for the greater good. So I really don't know what the answer is. Paramount is just a friggin' mess right now. I know that I think they're trying to sell. Was it to Warner Brothers or Max or
It's
Mer-
Sony now.
Oh God. Oh.
Yeah, it was Warner. Then I think I forget what the other one was. There's been 2 or 3, but now it's I think it was just yesterday or maybe it was earlier today. It was Sony. I'm just like,
Well, if their value keeps plummeting, maybe the three of us could chip in and.
All right, it's official.
Thank you.
Release the Shatner cut. All right, so everybody go on and retweet that. Release the Shatner cut. By this time in 2 weeks when we return for part 2 of the Menagerie, we'll probably have 1 like and 1 retweet.
I'll even go one further than that. If you can't get the footage and everything,
make it up.
Do the whole movie over as a CGI film. You've got the audio tracks. The technology is there. Show us what could have been.
All right. Release the Shatner cut.
Release the Shatner cut. I feel a t-shirt coming on.
That's it. It'll be in the store within minutes.
I still want to know why they were installing seatbelts in theaters for the summer that came out. We were close, but...
Yeah. All right. That wraps up this of the Federation Friday. Thanks for tuning in. I think we have more people that download us on the audio between Apple and Spotify and whatever else is out there than watch us on YouTube.
You get a lot of downloads?
I'm sorry?
You get a lot of downloads?
Yeah, we have 6.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Better nothing.
The 3 of us aren't downloading it, right?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't watch this crap.
Want to confirm the numbers. Yeah. Before we go, interesting enough, and I know, John, you haven't not been watching Strange New Worlds, but a character from Star Trek V did make an appearance.
Cybok?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
In this week?
No, it was last season, and someone had stolen the Enterprise and was trying to use it as leverage to free a Vulcan prisoner who was in a Vulcan rehabilitation center where Spock's fiancée T'Pring happens to work as a psychiatrist rehabilitation person. And at the end, he doesn't turn around, but you find out that it is indeed Cybok.
And that's it. That's the only...
That's it. So at least they acknowledge him as part of the greater canon, because there are some people who still argue that Star Trek V isn't part of the canon.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen people say
those flat earthers,
the flat galaxiers. Yes. So I just thought it was interesting that got a little love and that character got a shout out again, because honestly, I love that character.
Yeah. The what did that guy Vulcan with feelings? How did they describe
totally
him?
Embraced his emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smiling, laughing Vulcan. And when he realizes at the end, and the actor did a great job. Lawrence Luckenbill did a great job as Cybok.
Yeah.
At the end, when he realizes, oh my God, what have I done? And he turns that "share your pain with me" and dives right into it. I love that scene. That's great.
Yeah, and that's a callback to, I guess, what was the one 2 weeks ago? Where he's like, my mind to your mind.
Dagger of the Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I'll have to... Damn it, now I gotta watch Strange New Worlds. Damn you. Get off my lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Deb, what do you got coming up this week? I know you had Marvel Mondays and Thirsty Thursdays or something like that, and Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
Yeah,
No, that
Marvel
was
Mo-
somebody else's podcast.
Oh, was that somebody else's? Okay.
Well, tomorrow we'll have Geek Gauntlet. Monday is MCU Mondays. Tuesday is Sith Dominion. Wednesday is War of the Stars. Thursday is Cantina Happy Hour Star Wars. And then back here with you guys. So all those shows are on the Geek News Now official YouTube channel. And we usually have a lot of fun. Quit it. Stupid cat.
Marty, what do you got coming up? Anything impressive?
No, not much, honestly. It's been a slow week for us. Just yard work because my yard looks like a disaster area.
Yeah. It is now in Central Zone 910, meaning the Mets are turning themselves on to play the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hopefully the rally pimp has made it out to Los Angeles.
He better have, man, because that guy's been incredible.
Yeah, what is he, like 9-3 now, right?
Since they've been showing him, yeah, 9-3. That's a hell of a run for that team.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw they released their City Connect jerseys today.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be perfect if color TV didn't exist. It's the most grayest, monotone, washed out looking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, to be honest, I did not enjoy. I don't like the uniforms, but there was a video explaining everything that they did, and it makes sense if you look at it that way. It makes perfect sense. But if the tokens mean nothing to you, if the color of the 7 train means nothing to you, I didn't even know. And I'm a Met fan, and I don't live in Queens, so that doesn't it didn't really excite me.
No, what they could have been the Kings of Queens, right? Because like, what did Milwaukee do? They were the Brew Crew. Right. And I think that's been the best one out of all the City Connect uniforms so far. They actually look like a corporate softball team, which I loved. They could have done better. Even the hat could have had a little bit more color if they had done half the bridge in orange and then fade into blue on the other side. But it's too black, it's too gray, and it's got the little splash of purple for the 7 line sign. It didn't overwhelm me. It didn't underwhelm me. It was just meh. Even that I like.
I mean, this is something I just made with 3 lines of description in an AI program.
I figured as much the way they did the NY.
Yeah.
It just can't do letters. But that's a decent design.
I tried to get King Kong on the Empire State Building, but it just wouldn't put him on there.
It does not, for some reason, when you try and put Godzilla is fine. If you try to put in King Kong, I've tried AI stuff with it. It doesn't work. I can't wait to see their London uniforms I think they're going to wear the giant beefeater hats with an elongated NY on it. So that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Right in on black horses.
What time are those games starting?
I'll be asleep.
I think I'll watch the first one just because when are you going to get a chance to see that again?
Michael wanted to he's like, you want to go to London to watch a Met game? I'm like, would love to. He's like, yeah, let's get tickets. I said, I can't.
Yeah. It's a little thing called money that we are planning a vacation. It's been over 10 years since Laura's been back to Ireland. So we're going to go to Ireland with the kids because they're old enough now to appreciate it. And then Connor and I were like trying to figure out, if we could time that trip to when the Mets are playing, over there, it's like hopping a bus. You just hop the plane, you're like 25 minutes, half hour, you're in London, and then we could come back again. But it didn't work out because Emma is working this year, and she can't take off at certain times. She's working at a camp, so thanks, Em.
Leave her behind.
I can't. I
That's what we
can't.
did to. That's what we did to Jen.
Uh,
So many times. You're going to your aunt's house. We're going to Lake George. Be a better kid.
There you go. And see,
And-
she turned out okay.
And guess what happened? She became a staff sergeant. So,
Yep.
I mean, you listen to everybody that's on Twitter or TikTok now saying, do not punish your children. It does not turn out well. Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't. 30 years down the road, it doesn't turn out well.
I used to threaten the kids when they were little, telling them I was going to throw them in the Phantom Zone, and they actually believed me until I had to explain to them what the Phantom Zone was. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't even have a Phantom Zone generator, so projector. What
Right. You just have a mirror that's hanging on the
Yeah.
wall.
I'm trying to
And I
build this
can't-
giant loop thing in the middle of my den, but it's not working.
And you know what worked for me for years until they all sat down and watched Uncle Buck was the I have a friend down at the police academy who could tell me if you actually brushed your teeth. And then they saw it on TV and
They were like, wait a second.
wait a second. So
Like that
All right.
episode of Seinfeld with the breakup. It was from Neil Simon play. And he starts wording it word for word.
and yes, it's I missed them when they were younger, but I'm glad that they're gone. So
They're all good kids. You did
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
You did good. You should be proud.
And so that's about it. And I wanted to tell you, I've been hooked on Red Letter Media,
Okay.
and we need to sit down and do a rewatch, like they do of the of movies, because they just
I'm up for it.
yeah, we gotta pick a day.
I'm
We can do it Mondays because there's something on Mondays that no, oh, gotta go. Hold on a second. Oh. Ooh. Getting old, getting leg cramps while I'm sitting down too long.
yeah.
I need some salt. Is it salt?
Potassium.
Or is it potassium? Yeah, I need a banana. All right.
I don't know if you recently saw the lady who tried to bring the dead uncle in to sign the check in Brazil.
Yes.
I literally watched that video and go, I know how that guy feels. Like, it was terrible, but I'm like, yeah, I can just laying back, the head flopping around. There's the sequel to Weekend at Bernie's that we didn't know we needed.
Well, we've had it for 4 years now, so I think
he was
I
still
don't
more
think-
active than Biden. So yeah.
Yeah. That was when I reposted that. I said how Biden signs his bills. So,
All right. my
all right,
friends.
we don't want to get kicked off YouTube. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for your Marty and Deb. Thanks for joining in. We will see you guys on the interwebs next week. Don't forget, like and subscribe. If you don't, I don't know what happens. You probably won't even watch this far. So I know I've been posting some TikToks of Penny and gotten 100 subscribers just from that. So I'm just going to keep throwing Penny up there in my shorts. And
Until they pull TikTok. So
Oh no, that's YouTube Shorts.
no, you just said TikTok, didn't you? Or am I just hearing?
I don't know. It was so long ago, I can't remember. All right.
You're putting it on the internet with the kids.
Yes.
I use the Google.
I'm doing it on tic-tac-toe or something.
I use the Google.
All right, good night.
Goodbye.
The Google, yeah, I'm older than Google.
The Google. I do that to my
The
kids all the
Google.
time. I throw the word "the" in front of like, I want to watch it on the Netflix. I go look it up on the Google. They get so annoyed. They get so annoyed. What is that? The
Well,
YouTube
you got to
you're
use
watching?
the right pronouns, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to use the wrong pronouns, so it's the Google.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I was looking on the Amazon and I found something interesting. You're like, okay. All right, friends.
all right.
Be well.
Good night, everybody. We will see you next time. This is the Geek and I YouTube channel. Not that you care, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks with more of this useless drivel. We'll see you then. Have a good night,
The
everybody.
6 out there, we're doing it for you.
There's 6? I don't know. I might be one of them. I think I lied.
So
Good night,
for
everybody.
the
We'll
5
see
of you out there, we can't get away from math on this podcast. This is what's killing us.
Right. We're going to move to algebra. Oh, no, that's still math. Damn it. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.